Hey, I'm Jamie East, and today's episode of The Smart 7 is sponsored by Vodafone Business in partnership with Samsung. If you're running a business, any kind of business, you're probably spending some time thinking about AI, what to do, how much to use it, and how to even get started. The answer could be in your pocket. The new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, powered by Vodafone Business's reliable award-winning network, will help you unleash your productivity through brilliant built-in Galaxy AI. For example, Note Assist will automatically correct, fix the spelling, formatting and organise your meeting notes so you can stay tuned into the session without any worry. The range of applications for AI just seems to increase every week, with the Department of Education issuing new guidance that could see teachers using AI tools to mark exams and send routine letters to parents about things like head lice. Ooh. Getting back to the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, to take advantage of all the features and change the way you do business, you'll need a Samsung account and a network connection. To find out more, search Vodafone Business Samsung, and for network verification, go to vodafone.co.uk/network. It's Saturday the 21st of June. I'm Jamie East, and this was a week that saw Starmer make a U-turn on a grooming inquiry, Israel and Iran trading blows, the G7 briefly become the G6, and tributes to a reality TV icon. Grab a cup of something hot, put up your feet, and get up to speed on the 7 biggest stories of the week. This is the Standout 7 from the Smart 7.
It's news,
but not the news. Grooming gangs were back in the spotlight this week as Baroness Casey produced her independent review of the historical investigations. The findings were due to be presented by Parliament to Home Secretary Yvette Cooper on Monday, but the Prime Minister read an early version and moved to take immediate action. There'd previously been a 7-year inquiry led by Professor Alexis Jay, and the idea of a new national inquiry had been rejected by Starmer in January, but he clearly changed his mind, something that's been welcomed by the NSPCC. Dame Emily Thornberry sounded puzzled over the sudden change.
That's why I'm genuinely confused about it, because what is going on? Why do we keep having reviews and reviews into reviews and reviews into the reviews of the reviews? And I mean, so when does this stop, and what is it that we're missing?
After an audit of the existing investigations, the report was published on Monday. Baroness Casey found there was a need for a new independent commission and said there'd been a collective failure to properly deter and prosecute offenders and to protect children from harm. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper accepted all 12 recommendations, which included a full search of police records and a tightening of laws around children under 16.
This will mark the biggest programme of work ever pursued to root out the scourge of grooming gangs, those vile perpetrators who have grown used to the authorities looking the other way must have no place to hide.
Casey praised the new Labour government for looking again at the issue, but expressed disappointment that the previous Tory government failed to act on numerous occasions. That wasn't how Tory Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philps saw it.
Well, this has come far too late. Keir Starmer has announced this not because he believes in it or he wants it. He's done it because he's been forced to. Keir Starmer has had to be dragged kicking and screaming to do the right thing.
Baroness Casey then appeared in front of the House of Commons Home Affairs Committee on Tuesday. Her audit sparked a U-turn from Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who wanted to know why Tory leader Kemi Badenoch had taken no action on the report, which had taken 7 years, and why she hadn't said one word about it. Baroness Casey expects the new commission will need 3 years to examine the data in detail and caution the media against any rush to judgment on ethnicity when it comes to the historical sexual offences involved. She asked people to keep calm and instead focus on the victims of the crime.
I think we've just got to attempt to put children in particular at the heart of any discourse really going forward, and I think I'd be very surprised if any public servant at all in the land wouldn't agree with the findings of what it is I'm trying to do.
This week saw Iran and Israel continue to trade blows after Israel's surprise attack on Iran's military and nuclear infrastructure last Thursday. Israeli PM Netanyahu showed no sign of backing down, continuing to push the people of Iran to rise up against the regime.
The Islamic regime, which has oppressed you for nearly 50 years, threatens to destroy my country, the State of Israel. The objective of Israel's military operation is to remove this threat, both the nuclear threat and the ballistic missile threat to Israel.
Fears of a wider Middle Eastern conflict saw the US pull air defence systems from Ukraine to send to US bases, and the British government sent extra jets to the region. The UK government's advising against any travel to Israel, but Chancellor Rachel Reeves told the BBC on Sunday that the UK isn't getting directly involved.
Well, we have personnel and we have the bases in the region.
and it is our duty as a government to protect our personnel and our bases. It would be a dereliction of duty on our part if we weren't doing everything that was needed to protect those.
Iran and Israel continue to exchange missile attacks on Tuesday, with Israel claiming to have killed the new Iranian army leader, Major General Ali Shadmani. Israel had been warning of the threat that Iran's nuclear programme poses, and its president, Isaac Herzog, told Channel 4 News that the timing was out of their control.
We are removing an existential threat, a threat that was about to break forward, and Israelis are in total calm with it.
The world has spent a lot of this week trying to work out where the US stands on the conflict and whether or not it'll get directly involved. Although Israel and Fox News have been urging President Trump to use US bunker buster bombs on the site of the suspected Iranian nuclear weapons facility. Trump left the G7 in Canada early and was active on social media, tweeting demands for unconditional surrender and threatening to take out the Iranian leader. Israel's former National Security Advisor Eyal Hulata says despite Trump's talk of peace, he's fully behind Israel.
If President Trump didn't want Israel to attack Iran on June 12th, Israel wouldn't have attacked Iran on June 12th. And President Trump has probably reached a conclusion that at this point, given the situation of the negotiation, it was not against his interest that Israel would act militarily.
Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei wasn't giving any ground either, despite Trump's threats.
The Iranian nation will stand firmly against the war imposed on it, as it has done so far. It will also stand firmly against imposed peace.
In theory, the US president would need congressional approval to launch strikes, but his administration tends not to worry about such trivialities. Trump was out on the White House lawn on Wednesday supervising the erection of 2 new flagpoles and musing about what might happen next in a conflict that could have serious repercussions for world peace.
Nothing's finished until it's finished. You know, war is very complex. A lot of bad things can happen. I would say that we sure as hell made a lot of progress, and we'll see. The next week is going to be very big, maybe less than a week.
There seemed to be a slight de-escalation in the ongoing crisis on Thursday. An Iranian missile struck an Israeli hospital, injuring at least 70 people, which inspired Israel's defence minister to announce Iran's supreme leader can no longer exist. But a declaration by US President Trump that he would make a decision on America's next step within 2 weeks has created a small window for diplomacy to resume. Netanyahu says he's speaking with Trump every day.
President Trump will do what's best for America. I trust his judgment. He's a tremendous friend, a tremendous world leader, a tremendous friend of Israel and the Jewish people. And we will do what we have to do, and we are doing it.
While Iran's military leadership and nuclear programme have been targeted by Israel, they've been unable to tackle the underground facility at Fordo. It's understood possible American involvement would see these bunker-busting bombs being deployed. Foreign ministers from the UK, France and Germany met with their Iranian counterpart on Friday in Geneva, and Keir Starmer said while Western nations are concerned about the Iranian nuclear programme, the conflict needs a negotiated solution.
The principle is that we need to de-escalate this. There's a real risk of escalation here that will impact the region, and obviously it's already having an impact on the economy. So I've been absolutely clear, we need to de-escalate this.
This week saw the G7 summit take place in Canada. New Canadian PM Mark Carney had planned a thoughtful retreat for leaders including Donald Trump, Emmanuel Macron and Japan's PM Shigeru Ishiba as the G7 marks its 50th birthday. However, with chaos in the Middle East, an ongoing war in Ukraine and Trump's tariffs causing wobbles in the world economy, things didn't go too smoothly. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer arrived early and appears to have taken Carney out for a pint before the summit got underway. Rob Tinline, the new British High Commissioner to Canada, says similar issues are on the minds of both leaders.
There's a lot of commonality in the issues that we're facing. Obviously, there are significant differences as well. But growth, both of our countries both of our governments are really focused on getting that growth, driving our economies forward.
The summit officially got underway on Monday with Starmer alongside Macron aiming to prioritise a ceasefire in the conflict between Israel and Iran. G7 leaders had been hoping that Trump would use his influence with Israeli PM Netanyahu to force the issue, but before he departed the summit early, he urged Tehran to evacuate. He was also unhappy that his friend Vladimir Putin wasn't there, as he sought to relitigate events from 2015.
The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in. And I would say that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in. You spend so much time talking about Russia, and he's no longer at the table, so it makes life more complicated, but you wouldn't have had the war.
The summit continued on Tuesday, although it technically became the G6 after Trump had to dash off. Keir Starmer was at least happy Donald had signed what he said was a final UK-US trade deal before he left.
This now implements on car tariffs and aerospace our really important agreement, and so this is a very good day for both of our countries, a real sign of strength. So thank you again, Donald. A really important day for both of us.
For the other leaders, Tuesday was a day of focus on foreign policy, and that included Russia's war on Ukraine. Zelensky was there to meet leaders and accept a new aid package from Canadian PM Mark Carney.
So we are ready for the unconditional ceasefire. I think it's very important, but for this we need pressure.
Even as leaders gathered, rescue workers continued to recover bodies from Russia's latest missile attack on an apartment block in Kyiv on Wednesday. At least 28 were killed and over 100 injured. There's been no sign of a breakthrough in peace talks, and Donald Trump doesn't appear to have made any attempt to apply pressure to Putin, who, with a completely straight face, offered to mediate in the war between Iran and Israel. The European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas addressed the Parliament, echoing the words of NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte.
We have to do more for Ukraine, for our own security too. If we don't help Ukraine further, we should all start learning Russian.
In a highly unusual move, Thursday saw Putin hold a round-table press conference with international news agencies. The Russian leader rarely speaks directly to foreign news organisations, but he was very forthcoming on a range of subjects, including claiming that NATO rearmament is no threat to Russia because Russia's self-sufficient. That doesn't quite match up with the recent use of North Korean troops and Iranian drone technology in their war on Ukraine, but Putin did say he would be prepared to meet with Zelensky, but only at the final phase of negotiations, which haven't even begun in earnest. He was also busy talking up Russia's relationship with China.
I can say that the interest in the Chinese language is growing in Russia. Nothing sets Russian-Chinese relations apart from any other relations when it comes to the expansion of contacts and economic activity.
Away from grooming gangs and the various wars, Tuesday saw MPs vote by 242 votes to change abortion legislation, which has seen women in England and Wales prosecuted for ending their pregnancy. The current laws describe abortion as illegal but allowed up to 24 weeks, and the new amendment will remove the threat of an investigation into those who have a late termination. Labour MP Tonia Antoniazzi was the driving force behind the bill, and she says 99% of women who have an abortion do so before 20 weeks, which leaves only 1% facing the late-term decision. Antoniazzi said the women who find themselves in that situation need care and support and not criminalisation.
If women have to go and to see somebody and they're not able to access medical care, to be able to have that telemedicine, then you are taking away the right of a woman to confidentially be able to have that right.
With Keir Starmer on his way back from the G7 summit, Prime Minister's Question Time saw Deputy PM Angela Rayner step up. She faced off not against Kemi Badenoch, but rather a last-minute replacement, Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp. Philp was keen to wade in on his favourite topic, grooming gangs and immigrants.
We need to scrap the Human Rights Act for immigration matters so this sovereign parliament decides on the law our courts apply. But her party voted against that. So I have a simple question. Why did the government side with foreign criminals and not the British public?
The Shadow Home Secretary seizes every opportunity to mention the Tories' failed Rwanda scheme and its supposed power as a deterrent. But that wasn't impressing Angela Rayner much, who had her facts and figures at the ready.
They had 14 years of failure on these issues. We've also included 4,500 foreign national offenders that have been deported since we came into office, Mr. Speaker. More than they did in the same period. I take no lectures from the Johnny-come-lately who couldn't do anything when he was in office.
There was fresh disappointment for fans of high-speed rail on Thursday as the government delivered bad news on the HS2 project. It's been nearly 16 years since work began on the concept of a high-speed train line to link Birmingham and London, but Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander says there's no prospect of hitting the revised 2033 deadline. The finger of blame appears to be pointing at previous Tory governments, with new HS2 Chief Executive Mark Wilde delivering bleak news, saying the project as it stands is unsustainable and warning that the government needs to come down hard on contractors. The Transport Secretary is determined that the work needs to be completed, and she says she's prepared to wait longer if it means the line's completed safely and as cheaply as possible.
We are not going to be a country that spends over £30 billion on rail infrastructure but then never sees a train running on it. We also have significant capacity constraints between Birmingham and London, but I think those two great cities in our country deserve a railway that's fit for the 21st century.
Still to come on the Standout 7 in association with Metro, MI6 gets a new boss and we pay tribute to the Queen of Clean. Right after this.
Hey, it's Jamie East here, and today's episode of The Smart 7 is sponsored by Vodafone Business in partnership with Samsung. When you're running your own business, pretty much anywhere can be your office. The spare room, the back garden, or, even the local cafe. And with the power of Vodafone Business's reliable award-winning network, combined with the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, there's no limit to what you can do pretty much anywhere. For example, if you're working and caffeinating at the same time, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra will allow you to seamlessly complete actions across a whole range of apps to find relevant information and send it where it needs to go. It can even summarise YouTube videos for you and save it to Samsung Text Notes. That's the power of AI in your pocket. The range of applications for AI just seems to increase every week, with the Department of Education issuing new guidance that could see teachers using AI tools to mark exams and send routine letters to parents about things like head lice. Ooh. And getting back to Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, to take advantage of all the features and change the way you do business, you'll need a Samsung account and a network connection. And if you're using the seamless action across apps, it's compatible with selected languages only. You'll also need a Google account login, and the availability of search functions may vary by country, language and device. To find out more, search Vodafone Business Samsung, and for network verification, go to vodafone.co.uk/network.
Welcome back.
The political temperature in the United States escalated dramatically last weekend as two Minnesota lawmakers were attacked by a man posing as a police officer. Democratic State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were killed at their home, and the same man suspected of shooting Democrat State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette earlier the same evening. The suspect was dressed in police uniform and has been named as Vance Bolter, who'd been the subject of a national manhunt and was arrested late on Sunday. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz called the attacks a politically motivated assassination and paid tribute to Ms. Hortman.
Our state lost a great leader, and I lost the dearest of friends. Speaker Hortman was someone who served the people of Minnesota with grace, compassion, humor, and a sense of service. She was a formidable public servant, a fixture and a giant in Minnesota.
MI6 has a brand new boss, and for the first time ever, she's a woman. Blaise Metrowell will take over as the head of UK's Foreign Intelligence Service from current chief Sir Richard Moore in the autumn. The famously secret service only identifies its chief and no other officers, but Blaise has worked at a senior level for MI5 before taking on her current role of Director General of the Q section, which is responsible for technology and innovation. If that sounds familiar, it's because Q's been made famous by James Bond, although there's never been a female Q in the spy series. With a world in chaos, it's a challenging time to take up the role, but former MI6 boss Sir Alex Younger says Blaise will be outstanding.
I'm really pleased by this appointment. She is an incredibly experienced, credible, successful operational officer, a case officer. So she can hit the ground running and she'll have a big in tray, and that's a good thing.
Reality TV lost a true icon on Tuesday with the death of Kim Woodburn. She was the star of many memes, and her outspoken manner endeared her to millions. She first rose to fame at age 60 when Channel 4 commissioned How Clean Is Your House, which featured Kim and Aggie dishing out tough love and practical cleaning advice. The show ran for 6 years and catapulted Kim into reality TV superstardom, with appearances on I'm a Celebrity and Celebrity Big Brother. She spoke of her difficult childhood in her 2006 biography Unbeaten, and she was famously outspoken on This Morning and in her long-running feud with Colleen Nolan on Loose Women. The two clashed in the Big Brother house, leading to a legendary standoff on the ITV daytime show.
And she can say what she likes. She wants to draw a line under it. Well, she could, because she did it, didn't she? So I don't want to draw a line under it. You don't want to. Because I will never forget what the likes of her and the 7 others put me through. Okay, well, I'll never forget it, never.
She also famously clashed with former This Morning host Philip Schofield, and she was never afraid to get her opinion across. Rest in peace, the Queen of Clean.
There's no way, Phil. Yeah. I went through hell on earth. I was told that I was, get back to your cleaning woman.
We saw that on the telly.
Which is disgraceful.
Well, you said worse.
Did I ever say worse until I've been assaulted? Would you lose a shed load of money enough to buy a house that gets you out in 3 days? Not on your Nelly.
So how much do they pay you?
It's nothing to do with you, Philip, is it? What are they paying you?
Well, nothing to do with
then
you.
Then don't be naughty. Thank you. Don't be cheeky.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Quince believes that quality products shouldn't be a luxury, whether it's a breathable 100% European linen shirt or effortless stretch cotton pants. All of their high-end, top-quality pieces are about half the cost of similar brands. Yes, really. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middlemen, Quince gives you luxury pieces without the markup. Get the high-end goods you deserve at quince.com/upgrade for free shipping and 365-day returns.